Okay, so today we're going to be talking to Albert Priscello, a client of the company, Mark One, and you'll be telling us your story, how you worked with Mark Prather, the owner of the company, some of the ideas that he's given you, and how you've taken those ideas and put them into effect, right? And kind of give us your story as to how it's impacted you and the good points. So Albert, if you can tell us kind of where you and Mark started and how it's gone for you.
Before I became a broker, I was in the process of buying a single family home, and that's when I spoke to Mark, and
Yeah, you guys had a conversation.
we had a conversation, and I went to his office and I asked him, "What do you think? I'm buying this house in Hollywood Hills, single family residence," and he just completely disagreed with it and mentioned, well, if it's your first house, why not take advantage, get a 4-unit, get a 3-unit, you're gonna get rental income. It might not be it's not gonna be a gorgeous house in the hills, but it's gonna be a great way to start. And then later,
Made
once you get the rental,
made more sense economically.
yeah, and I lived there for a little bit, and I didn't pay any mortgage because the 2 other renters paid the mortgage, and I was living pretty much free. I did some remodeling, moved out, started renting that unit, and now that those 3 units, the mortgage payment is $1,200 a month because I refinanced, took the PMI off.
Okay.
Now it's $1,200 a month for the mortgage, and I'm collecting $3,000 in rent, so I'm $1,800 that I'm keeping after the mortgage is paid.
Okay.
And you always mention about the residual income,
Correct.
getting assets as opposed to liabilities, where the assets are going to produce residual income for the rest of your life,
Right.
and one day they'll be paid off.
Right. Where I think most people, like I said, think about getting the big house, but maybe struggling to make that monthly payment just on their own.
Yeah, which is the way I was leaning towards, because
Yeah.
I wanted to have the big cars, the big house, and that was just going to be playing catch up all the time. You're working hard to earn your commission to just pay for liabilities that you're going to be working, and sooner or later you're not going to be able to work as hard as you work when you're younger.
And traditionally, that's the way realtors and mortgage people work. You just want that big house, right?
Mhm.
And we don't necessarily think about like the step that you made, buying units and stuff.
Yeah.
And reaping the benefits and stuff. So you mentioned Mark is your mentor. You guys get together. And,
Yeah, he's my mentor. We get together about every month. We have a lunch, and I tell him, I share everything that I'm doing, and he gives me his advice. He tells me he agrees with this. Maybe you could change this a little. But usually it's always, every time I meet with him, I'm doing better than the last month that I met with him, and like most of my success is because of Mark.
I'm gonna have to meet more with him then. No, it's good. Well, I know because we're using the Wealth Academy through here, where we're trying to guide clients to buy a property but hold on to it, where most of us, we want to buy, flip it, and move on to a bigger house and stuff like that. So we're changing our minds into like holding on to the property and getting units and stuff like that. So I know that's Mark's, one of the things that he's been teaching us is to hold on to the property.
Well, the things that I learned about flipping is that when you flip, it's good, but it could take up to 6 months. And in 6 months, it's too long to make what you're gonna make on the flip, and it's a one-time hit.
Yeah.
So you're gonna make that money, and that's it.
Yeah.
On assets that are gonna give you rental income, you're gonna have that for the rest of your life. And then if you hold on to it, sooner or later it's gonna be paid, and then you're gonna make extra income because you don't have a mortgage anymore. Just
Well, and the good thing that Mark mentioned is how young you are, where traditionally, usually at that age, like I said, we want to have the big house and the big cars and stuff like that. We're not thinking so much about the future, and so I think you talking to Mark has been really good about putting those programs into use.
it's been really good, and the thing is that I started at a young age. So 21, I was already in real estate. I already had a big car and a big house.
Yeah.
And then in 2007, that's when I lost everything, and I started. I think it happens to everybody when you lose everything and you go through such a rough time.
Yeah.
You start doubting yourself a little, and that's when I started. I stayed in the business even though it was hard.
Yeah.
That's when I met Mark, and I just kind of started going back up from there. But now with the experience and with Mark's advice, it's just, I think a lot different than I did when I make the mistake that.
So we want to thank you for coming in and talking to us about the programs that you've done, about the success that you've had. We look forward to having you come back in the near future and telling us about the more units that you're buying, the more successes that you're having, so that we can share it with other clients, other friends and stuff, and say, look, here's a great example of somebody that changed their mind and is doing it the correct way and is having a lot of success. So hopefully you'll come back and share with us your success and your story, and we look forward to having you come back with us.
Absolutely.
Okay? All right, thanks for coming.
My pleasure.